You have no idea how much pain I went through to build this. For those of you who don't know, this is an iron farm, and it is so efficient, it is ridiculous. And if you don't watch my live streams, you won't know how many hours we spent doing this. We spent so many hours on this, it was crazy. Basically, when you get 10 villagers working, you have an iron golem spawn. So if you have 20 villagers working, then you get 2 iron golems spawning. I'm not sure if it works like 30 villagers means 3 iron golems or whatever. But it is a stackable farm. It works very efficiently. As you can see, this guy is going to get pushed straight down there. There he goes. And we can watch all of the iron get put in this chest right here. Because of how boring and difficult it was to get all the villagers in the little pods, me and Will ran a little game show. And here is said game show. Roll the clip. Hello and welcome to the Bed Games! I'm your host Pigseal, and today's contestant is Will Unknown. Hello! Welcome to the show. Are you ready to play the Bed Games?
Yes, but I'm very nervous.
Okay, well it's time to see which beds get matched up to which villagers. As you all know, here are the rules. There is 7 or 8 villagers in this pod, I don't really know. There is 8 in this pod, and there is 4 in this pod. This is pod number 1. He fell. As I was saying, this is pod number 1. And to signify, there is a dirt block. This is pod number 2, with a piston. And pod number 3, with a boat, crafting table, and 2 shulker boxes. Are you ready to play the Bed Games?
Yes, I am.
Well, very eager to say the least. Let the games begin! We've got 19 beds to place. Who's gonna get the first one? It's time to find out. Which pod was that in?
Pod number 1.
Pod number 1, correct. Time for bed number 2. Who got the lucky bed?
Pod number 1.
Pod number 1. Bed 3.
Pod number 2.
Pod number 2. I just realised I should have said for number 2, bed 2 electric boogaloo. But I forgot, so let's do it this time instead. Bed number 4, electric boogaloo.
Pod number 3.
Pod number 3. Time for pod 5. Give me a high 5. I suck at rhyming.
Pod number 1.
Pod number 1. Now I've got pod 6. I want to eat some Weetabix.
Pod number 3.
Pod number 3, correct. Let's take another bed. What's it gonna be? I think it's 7, isn't it? Number 7? To be honest, I'm not too sure.
Pod number 1.
It is indeed pod number 1. Boink. Bed number 8. Be
Pod
my
number
mate.
3.
Pod number 3. Number 9. Out of 19.
Pod number 2.
We've got a pod number 2. That's our second pod number 2. It's crazy how not many pod number 2s we're getting. Time to
Where?
place this bed.
Pod number 2.
Pod number 2 again. So far, number 1 has the most amount of beds taken. Oh,
Pod number 2.
number 2 again. Wow. I think number 2 might have a cheeky takeover here.
Pod number 1.
Are you sure? I couldn't see, to be honest.
Yes, pod number 1.
Let me just fact check that.
Yeah, it was definitely pod number 1.
Yep, it's definitely pod number 1.
He was also upset when you broke his bed.
I apologize, whoever that was in there. Pod number what bed number is it now? 1, no, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Pod number 3.
Pod number 3. 2 and 3 are joined with 4 beds each, but pod number 1 has 5. Who's going to take
Pod
this
number
one?
one.
It's pod number 1. Why have I turned into a wrestling announcer? Time for bed number 14. Oh my goodness.
I don't think I looked in time.
He didn't look in time. Let me just replace the bed. But you only get 1 replace.
Okay. Pod number 1.
Pod number 1.
I've used up my lifeline.
Who's it going to be?
Oh no. I didn't see it again.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to deduct that point from you because you cannot replace the bed. The answer was pod number 2. Moving on to our final few beds here. Who's going to take this?
Pod number 2.
Pod number 2. It's coming down to the iron here.
Pod number 2.
Pod 2 again. Last bed. Who's it going to be?
Pod number 2.
It's pod number 2. So, all 19 beds have been placed. Out of all 19 beds placed, you scored 18 points. That's a new world record! Congratulations. You deserve our 5-star prize of a trip down the pit of doom. Goodbye.
That hurt.
Thank you for watching The Bed Games. Join us next time. Ah! I broke my legs. Goodbye. I have other plans for this area too. I think in between episodes I'm going to build a gold farm here. And I know that sounds quite big, but actually really it's a very small, simple design. I don't even have to go to the nether for it. The thing is, we're going to have to find an alternative way to get here. It's much faster to fly because I never take the nether anyway. And I'm also thinking about maybe a super smelter. Today we're going to be working on this ice racetrack again, which is exciting because, it's been a while since we worked on this. And I want to get it done. It's really fun. I've made some improvements to it. You can actually do it now, other than this iceberg, which I need to destroy. But other than that, it's basically the actual track anyway. It's fully set out and laid out. So, I think it's time we put a border around this thing. So I'm here with Will, and we're going to get cracking on this. I think we're going to have a time lapse right now. So, grab a stack of white and a stack of black, and let's begin.
Your inventory.
I don't know.
That's who, me?
No, Sam.
I've got a ton
Pew
of fish.
Yes,
Pew pew.
pew pew. Test
Pew
it
pew.
on me.
Pass
Okay.
me an arrow.
Out of the way, peasant.
Have
do
a
this.
slowness. No, you don't want a slowness.
Oh.
I have a one-shot bow. Let's go.
So for the most
Like
part,
a
we've all run out of concrete completely. Maddox has joined us. Hello, friend.
Like a sembere.
And, well, basically, we've got one side completely finished, which is good news. Occasionally, where we've crossed, there is spots where, they cross. So, here we go. White, white, and black, black. But I believe those are the 2 only instances where that happens. On the other hand, we know exactly what to do here. We're going to have a viewing stand here. This will be connected to it. And over on this double white, we're going to have a shark here, which either rises out of the water or is just there. The next part of this episode, I'm going to tackle alone. And I'm going to be making an explorer's club. Before I show you what level I am, I just want to say I built the gold farm that I was talking about. and it is crazy efficient. And the good thing is, it's not just a gold farm, it doubles as an XP farm as well. I am now level 100, which is the highest I have ever been in a legit survival world. I have literally been sitting here all day in my little AFK area, right here, and, well, I've just been sitting here all day. It's been so good. And I don't know if you can tell, but I fully fixed all of my tools and my elytra. This is basically how the farm works. You flick the lever up there, it turns the portal on and off ridiculously quickly. You turn on the trident killer. Basically, this trident's attached to pistons there, and pigmen fall out of the portal and get killed by the tridents. And it gives you XP for it as well, which is amazing. As well as all of this stuff down here in this chest, rotten flesh, gold nuggets. I've turned all the gold nuggets into gold ingots already, as you can see, but we just have infinite gold now, which is amazing. So as I mentioned, the rest of this episode is going to be making an Explorers Club. An Explorers Club is basically where you go and you can see maps and survey the maps and stuff, as well as take a look at where your next expedition is going to be, as well as some artifacts from previous expeditions. Basically, there's this area here, which is like a map place. I was going to build this Explorers Club as a separate area, but I decided, it's a waste of space. We can just build the Explorers Club on top of this place in here. So, I think that's exactly what we're going to do in today's episode. So, after a while of working, this is what I've come up with. It's actually quite a nice looking shape. It's got a well-rounded roof, and it's got a nice colour scheme for the actual tower itself. And, if you look, I've kind of staggered the windows, so it's got glass panes at the bottom and glass blocks on top. Also, it looks like the mountain's kind of grown around the actual, tower. Or maybe the tower's sunk into the ground. It's up to interpretation. Obviously, everything's perfectly hiddly-diddly okay when you come in here. But as you can see, direct access to this place. I decided for a bit of variation to use some new blocks from 1.16. So as you can see, I've used the blackstone bricks, which obviously we used for the tree lab, so that's nothing new. But I also decided to use a soul lantern, because the soul blocks, they represent exploration in a sense. So I think using a soul lantern here, where it's in full view of everything, and then a regular lantern on top to actually give light, would be a good choice. Now comes the easy part. We've established our colour scheme and block scheme, and we've just got to build our ginormous, well, not ginormous, we've just got to build a big room back here for everything else to go. This isn't my best of builds, but it'll fit right nicely into this main area. Somehow, in making the back room for this place, I have made more of a mess than when I started. Not because it looks bad, but because look. It crosses over the road. And from the top, this place looks dope. I mean, it looks a tiny bit like a cow's balls, but I mean, other than that, it looks great. And the inside looks pretty slick and clean too. We need to add lighting. The windows, yeah, sure, they're good, but lighting is important. And to be honest, this place is literally just a simple. We can have a torch on each of these sides. 2, 1. And then we need some more torches. By the way, at one point I ran out of blackstone. So I went into the nether to get some more, and I found some ancient debris. So that was nice. It was a 1 vein, unfortunately. So we've not quite got enough for another ingot as of right now. As you can see, I've left a block. That's where all the workstations are going to go for the villagers. Speaking of villagers, now we've actually got to get them in here. Transporting villagers isn't really that big of a problem if you've made a gigantic iron farm, because you'll know how annoying it is to make an iron farm. These guys have been here for so long, I think it's about time they get a proper home. I mean, this has just been like, when I made this, it was just a chamber to try and get a Woodland Explorer map. And at this point, it's just a kind of breeding chamber, so yeah, and hopefully all the breeding for these guys has been already done. So we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Nice, they're all assigned, they're all in their correct places. In terms of other stuff we can add, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, obviously, some more maps and stuff would make sense. There we go. That is one beautiful map table. You can admire the farm area. Now, I've got some ideas for other stuff I want to put in here, and I think you'll find out what those are very, very soon. aka now. I believe I have finished filling the inside of this place. The most exciting part of all this is that the lodestone now has a permanent home here in the Explorers Club. I linked the lodestone compass with this one. I just moved the one from over there, but you have to relink it, so I did just that. And this now points to the Explorers Club in all directions. We also have a clock here to tell you the time, because why not? We have actually a map of the industrial district. I'm sure you're very used to seeing this now. But yeah, as you can see, there's the iron farm. There's the gold farm, and then this is the bamboo farm, which is a work in progress. But there you can see the flying machine. We have a good old compass, because why not? This is quite cool. This is a map of the mine area, which we were working on for a little bit. Although I'm not really happy with this tower. I'm going to rip it down at some point and replace it with something new. But it's just cool to see the circle with the massive hole in it where the drill is. And actually the ravine itself, the shape of it. Doesn't quite do it justice because, as we all know, the mountain around it, it goes up to Y100. So it goes crazy high, and there's just a ravine straight through the middle. So this map doesn't do it any justice at all. But at least there is a map of it now. I added these things just so that pillagers, and if they do happen to get up here somehow, just so that their arrows don't kill the villagers straight away, and I have time to come up here and kill them myself. Of course, we have the map from before. And I added a crafting table down here. Other than that, that is literally all I want to add to this place. It's been really great just building this, and I've been wanting to build this for a while, so it's nice to finally be able to complete it and say that the Explorers Club is officially done. It also looks like some kind of weird castle, if you don't know what it is, but yeah, it's really quite cool. It's got a feel to it which a lot of the builds around here don't really have. A cozy country club kind of feel, closed off from the world and private for those members who do. And that's the feel I really wanted to give with this Explorers Club. Thank you very much for watching this video. We've done a lot today, and I'll see you in another video sometime soon. Goodbye.